Common motherfucking sense in this bitch. AKA the soul of Andromeda, Night of Venus. And happy birthday to all the Libras out there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the Libras that's watching right now. Going into Libra season, and I thought maybe I'd give y'all some awarenesses and some energies that's going on this Libra season. Now, don't expect me to always do that. The reason I'm doing that right now is because me being somewhat of a specialist, me being the Night of Venus, anytime the sun or any of the planets for that matter are making any major transits or alignments aspecting Venus or the Venus dominant, Venus ruled signs, you can bet I have some insight to add to that. So, considering that Libra is ruled by Venus, I got some insights to this Libra season, 2023. It's going to be an interesting one too, based on my calculations. All right. So let me just run down the basics of what happens in Libra season in general, whether it's this Libra season or all Libra seasons. Whenever the sun goes into Libra, there is more attention and focus on matters of love, matters of relationships, matters of diplomacy, that can get into politics and government and structuring things like that. More matters into dealing with other people, you know what I'm saying, and trying to organize people in their right place, balancing the scales, harmonizing things, seeking harmony. That's what all energy is about when the sun goes into Libra. Now, specifically this season, we're going to have a little stellium, a minor stellium, but still a stellium. So that's why things are going to be interesting this year. Now, this stellium isn't going to be happening with any other major planets, except for one. But everything else is going to be happening with asteroids. And not just the old regular asteroids that all the other astrologers talk about, like Chiron and Lilith. Well, Lilith is an asteroid. Well, I think it's an asteroid now, actually. That's beyond the point. This isn't one of the common minor aspects that other astrologers might talk about. These are dealing with the asteroids Pallas and Eros and things like that. But we'll get into that. Let's just focus on what's happening right now with the sun in Libra. With the sun in Libra right now, we're going to have more attention on creativity and matters dealing with leadership. Libra being a cardinal sign, cardinality is all about initiating and creating new ways of doing things. Libra being the sign of relationships and relating to people in general, this is a time all about creating new ways to relate to people, creating new ways to build relationships, creating new relationships. This is a time to be a leader in your social environments. It's also a time where we start, like I said before, focusing more on balance and harmony. And this can play out in so many ways where we're trying to focus on balancing our relationships, literally, like balancing all of the problems that everyone has and trying to be the savior for them, Or it can come in ways where we're trying to balance the way our relationships are interacting with one another, where maybe our cousins aren't getting along with other family members and we're trying to be the one to be the mediator and balance that. Or it can come out in other ways where you're just trying to be the one who's seeking balance and harmony in a relationship, where there's always arguing and there's always stress and fussing, and you with that Libra energy are trying to find a way to balance those scales from being so tipped over, full of emotion and in thoughts, basically trying to just balance those scales. That's everything we're going to be, aware of and conscious of doing this season. We're going to be more focused on love matters as well. We're going to be more focused on trying to connect with someone that has the same values as us. We're going to be more focused on building relationships based on our internal values and actually creating love relationships, creating, moments where love can be experienced, creating more art that shows love or expresses love or communicates love in some way, shape, or form. And speaking of art, this is going to be a good time. Like I said before, one of the first points I said is a time of creativity. I ain't go deeper into that. With Libra being the cardinal sign and creating and initiating new things, Libra is also the artist sign, being as though it's ruled by Venus. So this is a time where all the artists right now will start getting really in their bag and start getting into their creative processes. And even if you aren't an artist, this would be a good time to start finding ways that you can get into your creative process and create new ways to express yourself. Again, finding new ways to relate yourself to others. Some Libra shit. But some things to be aware of this season, or maybe all Libra seasons in general, is to watch for the tendency to fall into vanity. And that is to fall into the obsession with the way things look, the way you look, the traits that you have, the traits that other people have, falling too deeply into the appearance of things. It's almost like superficiality, but not exactly the same, where vanity is more so about so focused on oneself or the image of something, where superficiality is just focused on the surface level in general of anything. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I bring that up is because we're going to have to watch out for superficiality this season too, but I'll speak more on that later. That's more on the 2023 Libra season. As for Libra seasons in general, like I said, just watch out for falling into vanity. Another thing to watch out for is the tendency to be swayed by others. With this energy of always seeking balance and harmony, you can end up neglecting your own emotions and neglecting your own thoughts. And that can lead you into situations that you never asked for, all because you didn't put enough of your own energy into that situation to stop that from happening or to steer it in the right direction. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get swayed by other people's emotions. Don't get swayed by other people's thoughts during this season. Watch out for that. As the Libra, or not even just the Libra, just as having this energy in general, your power is having that ability to stand outside of a problem and have an objective perspective around it. Therefore, you don't get trapped up into one or other of the polar shifts. You get what I'm saying? And that's how you end up leading into situations that you didn't ask for, because you didn't stand outside of it and have another perspective to add to it that adds the overall. You get what I'm saying? So be mindful of that. Don't get swayed by other people's emotions. Be sure to stand outside of things, have your own time to recollect and gain your own emotions and thoughts, and then you can make a decision from there. All right. I think that's all for the Libra season. Now, going deeper into this year's Libra season, speaking about the stellium, right? Oh, yeah. Another thing about Libra season. Libra season is all about initiating the fall. This is the start of autumn season, at least in Western astrology, right? Not so much in Vedic, but the point is Libra season is the beginning of fall. And if we look out in the nature, what happens in fall? The leaves start dying. Animals start preparing for hibernation. Other animals and insects and shit, they start dying. Other animals start migrating and shit and leaving, going to different locations. We see that during the fall season, the energy starts to wind down. The fall season is all about falling back from energy, falling back from old habits, falling back from negative mentalities, falling back from bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Now that we just left that Virgo season that was all about reorganizing things and making things put into their right proper position, things that work go here and things that don't work put back in the trash. Now that we just left that season and going into Libra season, now it's about completely falling back from those old habits that led to those accumulations of that trash in the first place. Now it's about falling back and going and create something new, going to a new land, going to a newfound awareness, falling back from old habits, old things that we used to do, old rituals. Again, Virgo being things that we do on a routine basis, falling back from those old routines, falling back from those old individuals that kept us in those routines. These are all things that come with the fall, that come with Libra energy. Now, again, back to what I was saying before, with the stellium that's happening, we got the sun, we got Mars, and we have the asteroid Pallas. Now, Pallas isn't really talked about in astrology circles because Pallas isn't really known about. But that's where I come into play because I have a deep found connection with Pallas. Reason I say deep found because it was always there, but it wasn't until I found the words to communicate it to know that that's what it was, to say, oh, that's what it is. But yeah, me and Pallas go way back. So I'll be able to explain so much of the allegories and the symbols that come with Pallas. But that's different videos. That's for a different time. Right now, with Mars being in Libra at the same time that the sun is in Libra, everything that I already mentioned that comes with Libra season now comes with even more energy. Now it comes tenfold. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere there's Mars, it adds vitality. It adds more life force. It adds more energy. It adds more, it adds more willpower, and things get done quicker whenever there's Mars there. So because the sun is in Libra and we're focusing on harmonizing and focusing on balancing and things like that, whenever there's Mars on top of that, we're going to be more, I don't want to say angrier, but we're going to be more aggressive in getting that done. And that doesn't mean that we're going to be literally aggressive and angry, but more so we're just going to have more energy. We're going to be more enthusiastic to get it done. We're going to have more motivation to get these things done. We're going to have more motivation to seek balance, more motivation to seek new relationships, more motivations to seek matters of the love. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going to happen when Mars is here. But another thing to keep in mind is that, let me check. There's going to be more of a desire for relationships. There's going to be more of a desire to connect with others. There's going to be more of a desire to relate yourself to others. So much so that you can become obsessive in these areas. So that's one thing to be mindful of. Don't become obsessive with relationships. Don't become obsessive with seeking harmony and balance right now. Also understand that the universe and the world has a way of balancing itself out. You know what I'm saying? Like, just even scientifically proven that homeostasis is a thing, that we can see that nature has a way of balancing itself out. So don't get so obsessive in thinking that you have to be the one in balancing everything out. That's not necessarily your job. That's just your power right now. And with great power comes great responsibility. And you have the responsibility to know where your power extends and where it doesn't. You understand what I'm saying? But we can gain an energy boost from others during this Libra season, because with Mars there, now we can gain a sense of vitality, gain a sense of energy whenever we do relate and connect and communicate with others during this season. So if you're ever feeling like your energy is low, even if you're an introvert, this season will probably be a great season to extrovert yourself and put yourself out there with others to gain more energy. You know what I'm saying? And I can see this happening even in ways where you're an introvert, and if you extrovert yourself more this season, that will build momentum for whatever it is that you're building or creating on your introverted side. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's things that you can do this season to use that extroversion energy to give you more energy, regardless of whether you're an introvert or not, extrovert or not, because of that Mars. And then with Pallas there, with Pallas in Libra, our creative genius is going to be more apparent when we're relating and communicating with others. It's going to be more apparent when we're dealing with matters of relationships and love matters. You know, like, this will be a good time. Excuse me. This is like the greatest time for people to actually try to get into a relationship right now if they haven't been in a relationship and have been looking for a relationship. Because with Pallas there, it's all about your creative intelligence. It's all about your ability to strategize. It's all about your ability to create new ways to go around things in a methodical pattern and seek different solutions that wasn't previously there. And with Pallas in Libra, this can all be centered around relationships. You know, if you've been struggling in relationships, you might come up with the greatest idea of when to go, where to go, what time to go, just to meet that person and fall in love at that right time. And you might not even know exactly that that's what you're doing. You might just feel like going to get a cup of coffee today. But for some reason, that's how things can play out. And it's all because of that creative genius. You know what I'm saying? It's other reasons why you're making these decisions. Is coming from a very strategic underlying structure. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and that's going to explain, I'll explain more of that when I start talking more about what palace actually represents. But just understand that you can be seen as basically very perceptive and out of the ordinary, yet very intelligent when it comes to creating relationships right now. If you understand what I'm trying to say. And even if you don't, go through this season and come back to this video when this season is over and see how this video probably could have resonated. But that's that one aspect of Palace and Libra. Another aspect is this is a very good time to start whatever it is that you have been planning already. If you have already made a plan and you've been just sitting on it, waiting for the right time to execute, this is the time to do so. And this is also a great time that even if you didn't want to go all the way and start that process, maybe there's other things that you have to do, this will be a great time to involve others into that plan. Because again, with Pallas being the asteroid, all about your creative intelligence and your strategic intellect, now that it's in Libra, you can gain greater plans and greater strategies when you place yourself in the realms of relating with others. You understand? This is also something weird with this Palace in Libra. This is a good time where you can meet someone by chance who knows someone that can get you somewhere else. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, you know that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. This is that time where you just might meet someone that knows something that you don't know that can get you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You might know someone that knows someone. All because Pallas is in Libra right now, on top of those Mars and Sun energies already impacting that. But some things to keep in mind though with Mars and Pallas here is that there's a great potential to deal with disagreements and just any of those social animosities. There's a great potential to deal with those with diplomacy. You understand what I'm saying? Diplomacy. There's a great potential to be more diplomatic in the way that you communicate. This would be a great time to not so much fight physically whenever there's a disagreement, but actually use your mind and your intellect to strategize a way to seek that balance. This is the time to do so. Just don't get so caught up that you neglect your own emotions during that, like I said before. But if you do neglect seeking that balance and seeking that harmony, just be cautious to, how should I say, warfare playing out in your relationships. So those are the stellium placements that's happening in Libra this season. Because Libra is ruled by Venus, I'm going to give you some more insights to what's going to be happening this Libra season and where a lot of this energy is going to be focused towards. Libra right now is in Leo. And Leo is actually going to change and go into Virgo at around October 11th. So Venus is in Leo for only at about half of Libra season. So everything I'm about to say right now is going to go for only about half of Libra season. Then the energy is going to change a little bit. But more or less, because Venus is in Leo, things that we can be aware of this time is being someone who has more value for the spotlight. You know, you might gain more value for the spotlight, even if you never valued the spotlight before. You might want more attention. You might want more recognition for things. You might also want more entertainment, whether it be because you want to be the one that's doing the entertainment, again, attention, or because you just want to be entertained in general. You want to be more enthusiastic. You want to have more fun. You want to experience things. You want to have a sense of spiritual freedom, if you will. But you just want to have fun. You just want to have more fun. You know what I'm saying? With Venus in Leo, you want to have more fun in matters of love. You want to have, you know what I'm saying? Everything's not so hard and tangible. You want a little more airy about things, like lighthearted about things. You know what I'm saying? But you can also be somewhat of a romantic, a hopeless romantic. You know what I'm saying? Like very obsessive about love, but not obsessive in a way like I was mentioning earlier, but just someone who's always watching romantic comedies and shit like that. Like Venus and Leo, that's a great time for that type of energy. There's also a time where we be more enthusiastic to express ourselves and to express the things that we love. We might feel more inclined to put the things that we love on a pedestal, put more of the things that we love, you know, on the center stage. You know what I'm saying? Like we might focus more on the things that we value whenever Venus is in Leo. We might pay more attention to the things that we have been putting on the back burner, you know. We also might spend more time enjoying the finer things of life. We can, you know, spend more time enjoying luxurious things. We might spend more leisurely things. Again, that's dealing with entertainment and relaxing. You might spend more time relaxing, but in a more, how should I say, expensive way. You might start going to hotels right now. You might start spending time at the spa or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You can count on shit like that whenever Venus is in Leo. The things that we need to be aware of is we can be spendthrift. We can spend too much money during this time. Spend too much money on luxurious items and shit like that during Venus and Leo. So be sure that whenever you're spending your money, you're spending things on things that's going to invest into your future. You understand what I'm saying? We can be very careless with our money. So be mindful of that. Another thing is we can be very superficial. You know what I'm saying? Even going back to the money thing, like being superficial with the money and not thinking so much about where this money is going to go or how you can use it more usefully, and you just spending that shit. You know what I'm saying? At face value. Going deeper into that, just being superficial in general, you can be someone who's very not worried about how deep things are going. Again, like I said, this is a time of being very fun, enthusiastic, lighthearted. Whenever things are lighthearted, you're not really going deep enough to fully understand all aspects of it. And that a lot of times where things come and bite you. So be mindful not to be too superficial right now. Don't care too much just for the surface level of things. Go deeper into things. Understand it's not just about what's in front of you or how things look or having fun. It's not all about having fun. So be mindful of that too during this Libra season because of Venus being in Leo. Now, some more insights I want to give you. It's like a little bonus. Now, some other insights I want to give you. Eros just went into Aquarius. And I'll do more all about Eros because that's another asteroid that isn't talked about. And that's why I'm here to talk about it. But Eros just went into Aquarius. Eros deals all with your creative direction. Now, it gets deeper than that, but people mostly talk about Eros in a way of the physical way it manifests itself a lot of times, which is sexual attraction and sexual desires. And there's some truth to that, but it's deeper than that. But nevertheless, Eros just went into Aquarius. And with Eros in Aquarius right now, you're going to have the ability to become more desirable by diving deeper into your unique and unusual gifts and qualities. You know what I'm saying? Eros is all about how you become desirable to others. And basically, when it goes into Aquarius, the sign that's all about things that are unusual, things that are out of the ordinary, you have the ability to become more desirable by being unusual and out in the ordinary. You can be more desirable by being rebellious. You know, that's another thing that Aquarius often resonates with. You can be, simply put, more desirable by thinking originally. Someone who has original thought, you will be more desirable in the eyes of others because Eros is an Aquarius right now. You also can become more alluring by using your unique talents and gifts. You know those weird, quirky things that you can do that other people can't do? If you use more of those gifts right now, you can gain more attraction. And attraction can play out in so many different ways. Just generally, though, you can gain more attraction by being a weirdo. But Aquarius is also the scientist. It's also the intellectual. It's also trying to understand the weird things. So in these weird behaviors that can bring you attraction, do it from the perspective of the scientist. That is, do it from an experimental perspective. Try things out and see what works and what doesn't work. And try things out regardless of whether or not it's weird. Because that's exactly what's going to gain you that attraction right now. And this is going to last a little bit longer than just Libra season. I might have to do a whole separate video just for Eros going into Aquarius alone. But yeah, because Eros in Aquarius, do more experimental things and watch what comes from it. Especially if you've been looking for a love interest. A lot of people think that love interest deals with just Venus, but you have to look at Eros too if you wanted to do that. And if you've been struggling in relationships or you've been trying to spice up your sex life or whatever the case may be, look at your Eros. And because Eros is transiting Aquarius right now, you might gotta experiment some more. You dig what I'm saying? Some other things, you might find a sexual partner on the internet. Maybe, perhaps. If you've been looking for it and you've been putting yourself out there in that area, or if for some reason you just started to put yourself out there in that area right now on the internet, a lot of that is because of Eros. You know what I'm saying? Going into Aquarius right now. So this is a great time to start seeking different, you know what I'm saying, individuals who share the same mentality as you via the internet. And from this, you can create long-lasting relationships that can even then form into romantic relationships or just erotic relationships. Again, because Eros is in Aquarius right now, you have the potential to find sexual partners or just connect in a sexually intimate way with someone or with others through the internet or through technology, technology in general. And if you're feeling lost, this one's a random one, but if you're feeling lost, take a look. Like I'm talking about feeling lost in general. Like you don't know what to do, you don't know how to fuck, where the fuck, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck? If you're feeling lost, because Eros is all about your creative direction, especially if you're feeling lost as an artist and you have a roadblock, writer's block, whatever the case. If you're feeling lost right now, take a look at tech. Take more of an insight. Take more time to research and learn about technology. Dive deeper into social media. Spend more time into social media. Just spend time there. Just you never know what you might find that you might give you the idea to point you in a certain direction. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, that's that. Just and even if it's not just tech or social media, spend more time learning about things you don't already know about. If you're feeling lost right now, go jump into something that's completely out of the ordinary, that is not in your normal. Go do something weird. Look something up weird. Try something weird out. Again, experiment. You can gain some sense of direction. Some things to be mindful of, though, with Eros and Aquarius, is you can become quite repulsive because of how weird and unusual and rebellious you are right now. It's a catch-22. It's just like you can be alluring and attracting to how weird and unusual. If you go too extreme with that, you can be very repulsive with that. And regardless of the fact, when you're being weird and unusual in general, you're going to be repulsive to others. And the people who are getting repelled by that, if you're doing something that actually genuinely resonates with you, if other people are getting repelled by that, you don't want them around you anyway. So let that repel them. But on the other note, if you go too far into being weird and eccentric and out of the ordinary, you can repel everyone. So be mindful of that. Don't go too out of the box. Don't go too far out that you can't bring anything down that makes sense to anyone else. Another thing to be mindful of is don't create sexual relationships with people who don't share the same mentality as you. With Aquarius being the fixed air sign. Fixed air is all about fixed, sitting in one position, focused on your own way of doing what? Air things, thinking and communicating. Your own way of thinking and communicating. Your own intellect. Because Eros is an Aquarius, if you don't associate, again, another thing that Aquarius deals with, associations, the things that you associate yourself with, and your associates, like Gemini is your friends, Libra is relationships in general, as well as your intimate partners, relationships. Aquarius is acquaintances, associates. Now going back to what I was saying though, with Eros and Aquarius, the fixed air, If you don't associate yourself with someone who shares the same mentality, the same fixed air as you, the same thought process, the same intellect as you, and you go and you start building relationships with these people who are completely different from you mentally, and you start forming sexual relationships with these people who are completely different from you mentally, there can be some negative repercussions, let's just say the least. So let's just be very mindful not to fall into that trap or into that loop, because a whole lot of chaos can come from that. You know, if you don't channel that eros properly, it will turn into Eris. And Eris is also an asteroid in your birth chart. That's a whole different video. But point is, Eris is all about chaos. Now it's divine chaos, so you can use that chaos in a way that benefits you, but Eris just represents chaos. So if you don't channel that Eros in the right way, chaotic things can come. You understand? So be mindful of those things. And that's everything that's happening during this Libra season. One thing I feel like that will always get you through those hard moments, especially during this Libra season, because you might feel like you have to balance everything out as if that's just your job. Value your perspective. When you value your perspective, that gives you the ability to understand that your perspective has value. Your perspective has gems. Your perspective you have diamond eyes. In other words, see things in a way that value over time. Look at things in a way that's working for you and not against you. Common sense.